Okay, so welcome to Survive to Thrive, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I'm super excited to be here with you guys today. So let's get started. We're going to talk about a book that I was asked to read by my friend Daryl Strickland. And the name of the book is 10X is Easier Than 2X. First of all, let's just park right there on the title. What the heck does that mean? So if I'm currently earning $100,000 a year and I want to increase my income to $200,000 a year, that would be a 2x goal. However, if I'm earning $100,000 a year and I set a goal to earn $1 million a year, that would be a 10x goal. Now, how the heck could 10x be easier than 2x? Well, it actually is. And in the short time that we have today, I want to share my thoughts with you on what I got from reading this book, and I'm going to put it into terms for all of you, in other words, specific to real estate. So I'm going to open with a quote by Richard Cook, and the quote is, "The road to hell is paved with the pursuit of volume." It's just the first line. It's a pretty long quote, but I just want to park on that for a moment. Here's what I'm hearing when I hear the pursuit of volume, the pursuit of more, just more, and more. And if I have a more mindset, then I'm going to be very tempted to say yes to every single opportunity that comes my way, because we all have FOMO, fear of missing out. And if I say no to something, what am I potentially missing out on because I say yes to everything? So volume, volume, volume. He goes on to say, volume leads to marginal products, marginal customers, and greatly increased managerial complexity. Oh my gosh, can I relate to that? Oh boy. So in my former life, Nathan, I had a role that was very similar to yours, right? I was the team leader with Keller Williams. We had 300 agents in the office. Talk about volume. And you also talk about managerial complexity. Oh my goodness. Now, Nathan, I don't want to put you on the hot seat here, but if you looked at all of the people that come to you and ask for support, there's going to be, if you got to choose who you were in business with, don't worry, Charlene, I'm not going to make him say anything. If you got to choose who you were in business with, would it be the same group of people?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I know, right? Don't answer it. Don't answer it, okay? Would it be the same group of people? My answer would be no, it wouldn't be. Now, we can always see clearly when we look in the rear view mirror. In other words, if you want to connect dots, you can't look out the windshield, you have to look in the rear view mirror. And you can only connect the dots when you're looking in the past. It's so easy for me now to be where I'm at and to connect the dots and realize, no wonder I'm so happy. No wonder I'm loving what I'm doing, because I am, for the very first time in my career, living a life that is 100% doing the things that I love to do and 100% not doing the things that I don't love to do. In other words, I have no managerial complexity in my life. Praise God. Hard work leads to low returns. That's interesting. Kind of counterproductive to everything we've ever been told, right? Well, hang in there with me. I promise we're going to get into this further. Insight in doing what we want leads to high returns. Please write that down. Doing insight and doing what we want leads to high returns. I want you to write down two words. I want you to write down want and need. And then I want you to ask yourself the question, to be in a position of need versus a position of want, what's the difference? What does it mean to be in a position of need? In other words, I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. All of my coaching clients would tell you that need is a word that we're eliminating from our vocabulary. I want. By the way, when you want something, you don't have to explain it to anybody. And when you need something, why do you need that? Those of you who are parents, think about that. Why do you need that? Well, I'm in a position where I have to see my need. I have to explain that. This is why I need that. But when I want something and somebody asks you why, because I want it. That's the only explanation you need to give. All right, so insight in doing what we want leads to high returns. Strive for excellence in few things rather than good performance in many. Strive for excellence in few things rather than good performance in many. I mean, we've all heard jack of all trades, master of none. A man who chases two bunny rabbits will catch neither one. What are you focused on? Strive for excellence in a few things rather than good performance in many. So, okay, let's talk about real estate. You've heard me say before that I'm only good at a couple things. Matter of fact, I'm really good at those, and I suck at everything else. I'm good at lead generation. I'm good at converting leads to appointments, and I'm good at going on seller listing appointments and converting those appointments to seller listings. And now as a real estate trainer, coach, and business builder, I'm good at coaching, I'm good at training, and I'm a recruiter. And I'm really good at those things. And I have absolutely no interest in being good at anything else. Matter of fact, I suck at everything else, and I'm totally okay with that. It is not shortage of time that should worry us, but the tendency for the majority of time to be spent on low quality ways. What's he talking about? He's talking about the 80-20 rule. 20% of what you do creates 80% of the results. In real estate, what does that 20% look like? It's lead generation. Starts with lead generation, because until lead generation is done, nothing else matters. Until lead generation is done, everything else and everyone else is a distraction. Now, what would your life look like if that was your first domino every day that you focused on and you don't stop until you hit your standards? Please write that down. Until you hit your standards for lead generation that day. I mean, what if we simplified it to 20 conversations, 2 appointments booked, whichever comes last? That's it. Your first 20% is 20 conversations, 2 appointments, whichever comes last, and I'm not going to stop until I hit that. It's a standard. It's a non-negotiable standard. The 80-20 rule principle says that if we doubled our time on the top 20% of activities, we could work a 2-day week and achieve 60% more than now. Well, that's true. 100% true. It's also true that if I eliminate all of the 80%, then I have eliminated all of the noise and distractions that stand between me and my 10x goals. Let me finish the 20% for you. So in addition to lead generation, talk to 20 people, schedule 2 appointments, whichever comes last. 20% also includes meeting with buyers and sellers, taking seller listings, writing offers and negotiating contracts, and practicing and role-playing your scripts. Now, if you have a 2x goal, in other words, you want to go from $100,000 in gross commission income to $200,000 in gross commission income, you don't have to say no to the 80%. You can hit that goal and still say yes to the 80%. Matter of fact, that's exactly what you're doing. But if you were to set a 10x goal, now we're talking about a goal that in everybody else's opinion is completely unrealistic and unattainable. You're going to start looking at, what am I doing that I don't have to do? Or better yet, what one thing or 2 things, 3 things at the most, would I focus on in order to achieve that 10x goal, and then say no to everything else? All right, he goes on to say, impossible goals help you identify the one or few conditions that have the highest possible upside. Isn't that what I just said? Isn't that exactly what I just said? Impossible goals. Unless it's an impossible goal, you're not going to even stop and think about this. By the way, my big aha was until I read this book, I was living very much a 2x life. And I'm going to give you an example before we finish. I 100% was. Impossible goals help you identify the one or few conditions that have the highest possible upside. Those are the areas to focus your scarcest resource, your limited attention on. To make a goal effective, you've got to test its outer limits, push it out as far as you can. Only once you make your goal impossible will you stop operating based on your current assumptions and knowledge. With a 2x goal, there are too many potential pathways. There's the problem right there. With a 2x goal, there are too many potential pathways to reach the desired destination. It's kind of like there are many different ways to reach the top of the mountain, but there's one path to reach the top of Everest. You want to climb Everest? You want to live to talk about it afterwards? There's one path. There's one way to get there. And that one way includes other things besides this is where you go. It also includes how you're going to get there. All right, this creates paralysis by analysis and makes it extremely difficult to know where to focus your best energy and effort. Let me read the entire quote to you again. With a 2x goal, there are too many potential pathways to reach the desired destination. This creates paralysis by analysis and makes it extremely difficult to know where to focus your best energy and effort. Raise your hand if I'm talking to you. Raise your hand if you can identify with this. Yeah, me too. Me too. The goal determines the process. The only way to make your present better is by making your future bigger. Holy cow, write that down. The only way to make your present better is to make your future bigger. Chunking up the goal to its next quantum level up and making it 10 times bigger forces you to find different pathways to get where you want to go. You ask different questions to different people. There are many paths to 2x or linear progress, which is one reason it's ineffective and overly complex to go 2x. There are a few paths leading to 10x, making the goal simple and highly effective. Again, almost nothing will work for 10x, which is why it's so useful. Okay.
Hey, John, could you repeat that last thing you said to write down? The only way to make your present better is to,
Make your future bigger.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Hold on one second, everybody. Blurry. All right, my 10x goal is $3 million in income. $3 million in income. Now, the first question that somebody would ask is why? Why in the world do you need that much money? Well, for me, it's not about need, it's about want. And the reason and the want honestly only matters to me. In other words, you don't have to explain your want, okay? But I'll explain it to you guys. It's all about legacy. Really, that's it. It's all about creating a future for my family that is financial security for life. It's about being able to change lives. Money is good for the good it can do. It's about helping others. It's about leaving the world that you live in today better than you found it. It has nothing to do with need. I don't need that money. 100% I don't. Neither do you. But I want it. Now, if I'm going to achieve that, then I have to say, I have to be super crystal clear on how I'm going to get there. And this big aha moment came for me just in the last 30 days. So prior to reading this book, I was focused on training, I was focused on coaching, and I was focused on building my business, which means recruiting. However, because I wasn't thinking big enough, I was saying yes to a lot of things that I realize now that I have to say no to. And what's interesting is, and I shared this a couple of days ago, in the process, I had an opportunity that was presented to me, and my first blink response was, yes, that sounds exciting. I'm in, let's do it. And then I realized, looking in the rearview mirror and connecting dots, that opportunity would have taken me out of this 20%. Building a revenue share business. In other words, building my business on the EXP platform. It's part of my 20%. Coaching and speaking. That's it. Those three things are going to get me where I want to go. Everything else is a distraction. Everything else is noise. So when this opportunity was presented to me, if I would have been more clear, if I would have had a bigger future, Beth, if I would have been focused on that bigger future, it would have been easy for me to say, no, that does not fit in to my 20% to get where I want to go. But now looking in the rearview mirror, I'm able to see that and say, I got it. The answer is no, because it doesn't get me where I want to go. When you're thinking bigger, you're going to say no to everything else that matters. Never let the things that matter least get in the way, and the things that matter most. Well, you're never even going to ask yourself what matters most unless you're thinking bigger. If you're thinking mediocre, if you're thinking like everybody else does, then everything's a yes. I'll close with this. Every time you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else, right? Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Here's the problem for all of us. We're saying yes to the wrong things. And by doing that, we're saying no to the right people. All right, talk to me.
I just kind of experienced this just the other day. I've got a client that I've been working with for a few years, and he's got 2 rental properties. I lease them, and every year he just beats me down on price. But every year, like, one of those usually gets a tenant that is buying the next year.
Mhm.
The issue is that I live in South Austin, and these properties are up in Liberty Hill, which is about an hour drive, roughly, with traffic. And so I started thinking about, man, how many calls could I make in the 2 hours that it took me to drive up there just to drop the key and the sign off? And then and then every time we low, so finally this year I just said, look, I'll do it at a reduced price, and so I let him go. Form, and then that go. And it was hard because it's business, but I just kept thinking I could do more business
There.
and on the things that I need to do instead of driving.
Sean, very well said. You're just so you know, your signal was pretty choppy. So I'm going to translate for everybody here. What Sean just said is if his goals had been 10x'd, he would have said no to this opportunity because the amount of time that it took for this one opportunity that he was saying yes to is going to get in the way of those 10x goals. But when your goals are not bigger, you're going to be tempted to say yes to every single opportunity that comes your way, even an opportunity that is going to take an hour drive there, an hour drive back, plus all the time invested. Now it's a no. Now it's an easy no because it doesn't fit. All right, talk to me. I want to hear from a couple more of you before we jump.
Just getting the focus, John, like you mentioned, I personally took away from the conversation, just honestly trying to dive into what the yeses need to be and the nos and calculate my 20%. So I know yours specifically is rev share coaching. I don't know if that would be prospecting for me and like my, I don't know, social media, but I would love to dive more into figuring out what my specific 20% would be.
What's your 10x goal?
My 10x goal as of today would be that 1 million.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. So that's going to take roughly $34 million in sales. Take $34 million in sales and divide it by the average price for homes in your market. That's going to tell you how many homes you're going to need to close. Now, if your goals are 10x, here's the other thing, real estate agents, it's going to be a lot easier to get there. Remember, the whole goal is 10x is easier than 2x. It's going to be a lot easier to get to that number of sales working with sellers than it is buyers.
Right.
All right. Maybe 10x goals lead to, let's just pick a number and let's say it is 60 sales gets me to $33 million. Perfect. All right. So my 10x goal would be to close 40 sellers and 20 buyers. In order to do that, I'm taking 50 seller listings. In order to do that, I'm going on 70 listing appointments. In order to do that, my 20% is lead generation. In order to schedule 2 listing appointments per week, that's 100. I know it is, guys, but some people are going to cancel or they're going to no-show on you. So 100 appointments in order to sit on 70. All right, so it's lead generation in order to schedule 2 appointments every single week. By the way, Brittany,
Yes, sir.
that's it. That's it.
Hold it down.
That's it. That's your 20% right there.
Okay.
It's one thing.
Right. Thank you.
You got it. One more person. I know I shouldn't do that because I do that, everybody gets quiet, but still, one more person.
I believe it's really important to block out that your 20%. It's in real estate, it's really easy to get distracted and not everyone's going to understand your discipline.
No.
But you have to stay disciplined and there's going to be a lot of no's and that's going to pay off for us in the long run.
Yeah, there you go. All right, everybody. I hope you got great content today. I hope you got things that you can use. Please implement. If you show up